Hello, welcome back to the channel. Very short video today. We're going to be getting the reverse camera working on the MR2, and we're also going to wire in that switch so that we control when the aerial goes up and down. So stay tuned. Okay, so I found the blue wire that was out the back of the harness. I found it in the wiring diagram. I'll take a little screenshot and I'll put that up on the video so that you can see what I followed. But essentially there's only one blue cable that comes out of the loom at the back of the head unit, so I cut that, and where I cut it I extended it out to this long cable. So currently you can see it's connected, so every time I put the ignition on it goes up and down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, and where I cut it I'm just going to insert this very simple little switch, no LED, just power in, power out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it just around here. So I've taken out this little coin holder to make sure there's nothing behind, which there isn't. And I'm just going to tap a little hole in there, stick the switch in, connect the cable and put everything back. And then that way I've got control over exactly when the electric aerial goes up and down. So I used one of these step drill bits so I get a nice circular hole. And well, it doesn't look that nice and circular because I made a bit of a pig's ear of it, but essentially it is the right size hole for this switch. So that's going to pop straight in there. Okay, cable is through. I'm just going to pop this little coin tray back in because I don't need that out anymore. So all I've got to do is put the switch on there and test it, which I'm going to do now. Okay, ignition's on. Switch is in. Aerial is not up yet. So let's put the switch on and you should be able to hear it. Yeah, there we go. Aerial's now coming up. And if I turn the switch again, give it a sec, there you go, back down it comes. Success! Okay, so the next job is to fit a reversing camera. I've got this little cheap one off eBay, should do the job. Let me show you that. So that will hang in the back of the car like this. And I've just got to run power to it from one of the reversing lights, and I've got to run the video cable through the interior to the back of the head unit. So my plan is to mount it directly under the R of the MR2 badge. If I show you under there, there's a piece of plastic with nothing behind it. So I'm going to drill a hole up into there, going to run the cable around all the hot stuff, and we're going to go through one of these grommets into the interior, and then just got to run it under the carpet all the way back to the head unit. Nice and easy. So like a lot of these eBay cameras, they actually come with a drill bit, which is quite handy. So that's going to be the exact size that I need to poke that camera through. So let's just shake that out. There we go. So pop that in the drill, go make a hole. No turning back now. So I've got the camera and there's a retaining nut that you've got to take off. So I'm just going to remove that. The nut out the way, all I've got to do is thread the cables up into the hole and pull it through so that the camera sits flush. Then I can put the nut back on, which holds it nice and tight. There we go. Very nice. Looks very factory. Happy with that. Okay, I put a little bit of glue in from behind because that nut is really hard to get to. Don't know if you can see that. But yeah, that blurry thing that's just there. I just popped some glue on it just to make sure the nut doesn't come loose, because there's not really any room to get a spanner or anything on it. So the other thing I did is I cable tied the cable across the vent. I know it's going to really piss a lot of people off, but the reason being, it doesn't look too bad. The reason being is that bumper is going to have to come off when we do the engine conversion, and my plan is to actually find a better way of routing the cable later on. I don't want to have to remove the bumper twice, so I've got as far as there. So I've got to get the cable from the head unit through there. So first thing I did is removed some plastic trims all the way along here, and you can see the cable coming out the head unit. So I'm just going to tuck it all the way around the carpet, get it over to here, find some way of following this loom up into the plastic here, and then up into the tray where the hood folds into, and I should be able to find the other side of that grommet and just poke it through into the engine bay. Oh, that was surprisingly easy to do. So I've got the cable round here now, and just pull on this and it just comes off. I expect it to be held in a little harder than that, but that all seems to be all it is. So thread it down there, I think. Nice. You see, I set myself up for a fall when I said easy earlier. So I've got the cable past the sill to here, and then in order to get it up past the seat belt, I removed the plastic cover. It was just 2 plastic clips here, you just pop them off with a screwdriver. But then I can't see through to the grommet, so what I'm doing is I'm moving the plastic tray behind. Literally, you just pull this clip out and you undo the 3 bolts across there, and then the door comes out. Now I've got to try to figure out how to remove the rest of this. I think probably those 2 screws next. Okay, short story, no, you can't really get to those grommets up there. They're all in the way of the roof, and I pulled them out from the engine bay side and poked the screwdriver through, and all I could feel was more metal. So what I've done is just poked a little hole through this grommet and inserted a random piece of cable I had lying around. I'm going to get this so far through that I can pull it from the other side, and I'm going to attach the actual cable that I want to feed through to this bit of cable. So hopefully that does the trick. Okay, so success. Got all the trim back in. Everything's back together. Figured out the water is actually just condensation building up on the rear screen. It's just dripping down to the tray, and then from the tray it's finding its way down the plastic trim and into the back of the little boot box here. So I dried that all out, put a bit of kitchen roll across there to soak up any more drips, because it is the winter after all. There's going to be more to come, and it's a bit rainy at the moment. And then just inside here, just here underneath, there's a little rubber grommet, like a drain. So I noticed that was a bit plugged, so I put a bit of wire down there and cleaned it out. Seems to have done the trick. I put a bit of carb cleaner down there as well, just to make sure that any crap gets washed away. But hopefully that should be nice and dry now from now on. So got the cable here, came out through the grommet, and now all I've got to do is connect these 2 ends up and get some power from that red connector off the reversing lamp. So we're at the back of the light now. I put it into reverse just to see which of these 2 was the reverse lights, and it's the inner ones. So going by that one there, this one, you can see through, it's clear. So couldn't really figure this out looking at MR2 websites, which one's positive and which one's negative, but in general red is positive and white or black is negative. So if I look at the loom here for the camera, we've got one that's black and one that's red. So I'm going to go black to white and red to red. Hopefully it don't go pop. So hit a bit of a snag. Once I had given power to the camera, I jumped in the car, put it into reverse. Lights came on, but no actual picture from the camera. I put a voltmeter on the connector, and I've got 12 volts, so there's definitely power getting to the camera. I wired it around the right way. So what could it be? Well, there's 2 possible things. Either number 1, the camera's actually duff, which is unlikely, it's a brand new camera. Number 2, most likely cause, and I was hoping it wasn't going to be this, is that I need to put power to the reverse trigger cable. So that's a little cable that runs up the side of the yellow picture cable, and a lot of head units need to see a positive voltage on that cable from the reverse lamp to then switch the picture from whatever it's showing to the reverse mode. So it's not too bad. All I've got to do is take that little cable away and put power to it from the back of the light, and then on the other end just connect it to the reverse trigger cable, which goes into the lumen to the back of the head unit. But it's getting quite dark now, it's quite cold, so I'm going to call it a day, I think. So once I've got some daylight again, it's getting quite dark now, I'll pick this up again and I'll wire in that reverse trigger. Fingers crossed, we'll then get the reverse camera working. So welcome to a very cold morning. Got very frosty last night, but even though it's -3 out here, I am keen to get on. Rear's all done, so now I've just got to connect up the front, and luckily I left the cable loose, so this purple one, which says on it reverse in. So I just got to find the little live cable that runs down the side of the video cable and tap it on there. All done. So I ran power to the reverse in from that little cable that comes off the video feed, and now let's jump in, fire it up, see if the reverse camera comes on. Okay, ignition on, head unit should come on, Okay. I'm not going to bother starting the engine, don't need to. All I'm going to do is stick it in reverse, and hopefully it should just go straight to the camera. Yes! Success. So there you have it. Everything's done. Aerial's done, camera's done. Fantastic, because I hate electricals. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is useful. If any of you out there in the MR2 community are going to do your own reversing camera install. And yeah, take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time on the channel. Bye for now.